In this episode, we finally buttoned up the radiator on Project Low Fairmont once and for all. Welcome to another episode of Straight Six Fan. Welcome back, my faithful subscribers. But hey, if this is your first time, my name's Grant Tommy, and this is Straight Six Fan, where I like to focus on offbeat hot rodding, which I define as budget-minded, relatable, creative builds. And the 1978 Ford Fairmont, Project Low Fairmont, the $4,000 budget car, is what we're working on today. And that intro screen you just saw, I recorded at the end of the day because I have no clue exactly what I'm going to get to today. We're going to be working on either the gauge pod or the radiator system or both. But I spent the whole week thinking through what does it make sense to do first before I do the next thing, and I just couldn't come up with good examples. So I think what I've settled on is touching the radiator stuff, getting that thermostat housing back on. I got the new thermostat housing from Mr. Mach 1. Gary, thank you. And so we're going to start there. I think I'm going to button all that up. I might do the radiator flush so I can finally put my used antifreeze in the containers I free up, and then start focusing on the gauge pods after I flush the flush, or drain the flush. So anyway, got a lot of stuff to tackle today. A lot of different things to show you, but we did ping the budget a little bit today, and I will get into that here in a little bit, but it's time to get to work. Now, part of the problem from taking off the bolt that was such a pain in the butt was, according to my Chilton's manual, these are supposed to be torqued to 12 to 15 foot-pounds. So I'm guessing the last one on the inside was over-torqued. Partially one of the reasons why it snapped off. Okay, so thermostat housing is in. Much easier to go in than come out with these bolts. I think part of the problem was the Chilton's manual recommended torquing these down to 12 to 15 foot-pounds. I'm guessing that one was torqued down further than that. I did just finish removing this fitting from the housing. I'm going to put in my stock one for the time being back on this one, the little plug. Before I do my water temp gauge, just because I want to do the radiator flush. We have like 56-degree weather today, so today's going to be a great time to go do the get this all bundled up and go run it for like 10 miles, 10 minutes. So I'm not going to do my water temp gauge just yet, so I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go get the stock plug and put it back in, and then we'll have all the hoses hooked up, and we'll be ready to fill this up with water and some radiator flush and do a cold start, really. It's been like probably a month since this thing's run. So my stock thermostat plug has been giving me fits, so I went ahead and did some other things, buttoning up the upper radiator hose and the heater bypass hose and that kind of stuff. In the meantime, hit it with more PB blaster. Let's see if we can get it off now, so that way I can get it on the car and then we can start topping it off with water and radiator flush. Okay, so after losing battle after battle with that thermostat housing plug, I took my mini grinder and I cut a slit in the back of the housing. Then I used my chisel to pop it open the rest of the way. And now, look at that. I can just thumb turn it out. So, awesome. We're gonna go get this plugged in and then now fill up the radiator with water and the radiator flush. Okay, so I did want to do a quick budget update. We bought those hose clamps and I bought that heater bypass, thermostat housing bypass tube, whatever tube, hose if you will. Ugh. Looks like I got grease all over my face. So we started this episode at $1,709.74. Those two things cost $13.60. That now brings the project remaining budget out of the original $4,000 down to $1,696.14. Now, I haven't figured into the equation the distilled water I bought for when I pressure tested the radiator, about 3 gallons. I will do that at some point, but they were probably 89 cents a gallon or 79 cents. I have to just go back to the Walmart I bought it and figure that up. I will add that in. But yeah, everything is buttoned up. I'm going to do one more once over and double check things before I fill the radiator. But then we're good for a cold start and to drive this thing for the first time in like a month. Alright, so I don't know if you guys heard that, but I started hearing some water bubbling, and so I went to go examine, and sure enough, it was the thermostat housing was leaking. So that stinks, because that's the absolute hardest part on this job, is getting that thing off. So I don't know, must have just left some gasket material on one of the surfaces or what. I don't know, it's frustrating. At least I was only dumping water in filling the system with water, I guess. It's like 3:30 here on Sunday, 3:45 actually, probably more like. So I'm gonna see how far I can take things back apart. I probably won't get it back together today, just because it could be a bad gasket, could be maybe the thermostat housing Gary gave me was warped or something. I don't know. I wouldn't suspect that necessarily, but I suppose it could be a thing. But it's got to be gasket material, I guess. I don't know. So I'm gonna see how much more I can get done today. I'm not gonna show you on this video because it's kind of depressed. But I did want to show you a few things. I did get that particle board MDF ripped down this week for the gauge pod, so I'll show you that real quick, and then we'll get the ashtray. I think I'll probably try to epoxy the ashtray back together today, so I'll show you a little bit of that. But hey, if you made it this far, thanks for hanging with me. Sorry to end on such a low note. But, you know, this is what comes with the territory. This is part of what a project car is. Triumphs and tribulations. So, I know I'll come out on the other side at some point. It just stinks that I really thought I could drive it today. So, oh well, better to find it before I started it and try to run it. Yeah. I don't know. But anyway, we will, let me show you some of those few other things real quick and then we'll close it out. Okay, so, as promised, here's the MDF I was telling you about. This 3-inch dimension is the proper dimension for the faceplate, so I will cut that, cut that down, and then the sides are basically just going to be triangles out of this same material. So pretty stoked about being ready to go in this department. Also did buy a new jigsaw to help me with this project. So always fun to buy new tools, right? So got the whole saw. I did double check my stain inventory, and I've got 2 stains that I think will help. So that's great. But anyway, we're going to close this out here in a second, but I was able to take the thermostat housing back off, and I do think I know the problem. After taking everything off, here's the gasket. I don't know if it's showing up well, but you can see this indentation over here, and what that is was the thermostat I bought, and this is where Craig Durbin's probably screaming at the screen, because he told me not to mess around with anything else but the Motorcraft version of thermostats. And so what happened was, and I'll give you a comparison to stock here in a second, but you see this doesn't quite fill up the whole housing. See how it does that? So I think when I was installing it, it slipped and did something like that, which is why water was just leaking out from there. So let's compare that to the stock one. So if I would have got a Motorcraft version, my Chilton's manual talks about how you insert the thermostat into the housing. And you can already see, like, there's less play here than the other one, but you turn it clockwise until it stops. And that I cannot do with the O'Reilly's house brand version. So that stinks, but lesson learned. You can't afford to get it wrong like this on budget builds. So learn from my mistake, because I mean, maybe I can take this back. I guess it hasn't been used, but we'll have to clean it up real nice. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. Maybe I can return this. I don't know. But I'm probably gonna buy a new gasket just because gaskets are cheap. But the one I had probably be fine. But yeah, herein lies the problem. So that makes me feel good. There was a tiny bit of gasket material still on here, but I don't know if that was actually from the old. But I scraped and cleaned it off pretty good. I'm 99% sure this was the problem. So. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the roller coaster that was my emotions through this episode. That'll do it for this week. Time to clean up the mess. Reminder, like, comment, subscribe, or share. Sharing's the one I probably prefer you do most. Important thing is, do whatever's comfortable to you. If you want a straight 6-fan Pistons tee, link in the description to my Spreadshirt store below. That'll do it for this episode. Until next time, peace out.